Hello and welcome to Walking the Earth podcast. I'm Mike Margulies. Today in Miami, Florida, I'm sitting here with Mariana Rego. What's up, Mariana?
What's up?
What's up, I should say for the second time, is you are actually the first person to do a return guest spot on the show. Congratulations. It doesn't come with a prize, but...
I feel like this is prize enough.
And so folks who haven't heard it yet, we had an earlier episode, we talked to Mariana. She's got a travel blog, the Living Experiment blog. And since last we spoke, I guess you're now settled back in Miami, and you're in your kind of post backpacking adventure days. I guess in your own words, I'd like for you to share kind of in your own words, what that experience is like since coming home after, this trip that you took.
Yeah, so when we spoke, I had just returned to the States, and I think I was pretty determined that I was going to try to live back here in South Florida, but I wasn't 100% sure. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have anything I knew I wanted to do. Just trying to get my feet wet and get involved and see what was going on, and then decide from there whether I stayed or went. Stayed or goed. Perfect. My grammar's so good. And then... since then, it's been more than 6 months. It's been like 7 or 8 months since we spoke, which is really scary to think that
It's been a while.
I've been back that long. So then I started getting involved in a lot of stuff, and delved into the entrepreneurship and tech scenes here in Miami, and ended up founding a organization, business with a business partner. It's technically a nonprofit though. But we still run it like a business, and then getting a job as of December, which is a strange experience.
Right.
I refuse to have a home and buy furniture, so I'm still living with my parents, because as long as I don't have that, I can still feel like I'm holding on to the nomad spirit a little bit.
You're still free to depart whenever.
Yeah, I just like, F it all. I did buy a car, unfortunately, because in Miami it's somewhat difficult to have as much mobility because it's so spread out if you don't have a car.
Much harder in the States versus backpacking around.
Yeah, so I have a ton of I try to use public transportation as much as possible, but I want to hold on to my life and keep it, and if it involves me taking a bus through a dangerous neighborhood or whatever in the middle of the night, I will drive.
Right.
So those are like the major changes. I'm really busy now these days, as you saw this week from visiting me.
You wake up early, wee hours of the morning, and then it's cool. You've got your hands in a lot of like really interesting different projects around here. And I think it's really cool what you're doing, because it's kind of encouraging for me, being that now I'm sort of in a similar boat to where you were, whatever it was, however many 6 months ago. And it seems like just seeing you now, you've found things that you're passionate about and you're working on in the post-backpacking life.
Yeah, so I got back and I thought I don't want to do the same exact thing I was doing before, which was working at a bank. I decided that my goal in life, if I have one, is to live as many interesting lives as I can figure out how to do. And going back to the same exact thing I was doing, while I am a different person now, I didn't think was the most interesting thing I could do. So I just started getting involved. I have developed a bias for action and in trying different things and different ideas. So my friend Andy, when I was in New York, he told me something really great. He's like, what's the smallest possible step you can take on a project, and go ahead and do that? Because I feel like a lot of people, when they get back, they get overwhelmed. Like they feel like, wow, you have the shock of returning, and then you have, I need to have a plan or something like that, but they don't really know where to begin. And I think that that's partly how you feel now.
Yeah, that's definitely some stuff we've talked about too. And
right.
It's good advice for me. I definitely relate to that, because I'm here back, and it is kind of overwhelming, and it's that sense of, I don't necessarily have an exact plan, but like you're saying, something I can do is just take a step in it, and it may not, the first step I take might not be the one that pans out, but
probably won't be.
Right. But in the dream, similar to you, I have the dream of the entrepreneurial dream, right? So it's sort of, you take a step and you fail fast and pivot when you do what it takes, and you keep trying doing things. And
Right, yeah. So Andy told me that. He's like, what's the smallest possible step you can take? And I just started in plant many seeds. So I did a bunch of stuff. I was like, can I start a consulting firm? Can I do this? Can I do that? Like, one thing that, to backtrack a little bit, I figured out what my values were, like the really important things to me. And I thought about, like, oh, let me try to make my blog commercial, but that didn't really work for me because my blog was about expression and I didn't want to compromise the expression to make it commercial.
Right.
So I had to figure out like what my values were and how my skills apply to different things. And then the cat just meowed, which is amazing because like, okay, so we're staying. Oh, it came out. Oh my god, we're staying in this Airbnb, and there's
it came
a
with a cat.
And literally, this is the first time this week I've seen this cat.
Yeah, the cat's been hiding under the bed the entire time.
It's so bizarre. Okay, well, hello, cat. So I tried a ton of different things. I started consulting. I put myself out there, and I think that one of the things that like really helped me was that I was willing to put myself out there and not get stuck in like the planning mode. I had an idea, I would put out a feeler, and I've gone through like several business ideas and life ideas of different things to do to get to the point where I am now in the past several months. And for example, I started consulting, and then I thought, oh, maybe I'll do a translation website or something for real human translations from people from Brazil who are trying to break into the international market, and their companies just have horrible marketing, which hurts their image because they just don't speak the language very well. So that was a business idea. I did a little bit of work with that. I didn't even start a company or anything. I was just like, oh, okay, well, you want that? Like, I charge $100 per hour for translations, and I made some money.
But that's cool though, that you were able to like land clients. And, not working for yourself. I mean, that's
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did that, and then, but that wasn't bringing enough money, and then I met my business partner for Design Thinking Miami, which is my nonprofit venture. Jess, she was kind of hesitant about starting this because she had another job and everything. And then at one point we just decided we're going to do it. So we just did it. And like, what's so cool is that there's been people who are experts in the methodology of design thinking, which is what we teach through our organization and Foster. And like we ended up creating the organization because we were the ones that actually just had the chutzpah to do it.
Right.
Like, we're not experts, but we're like, we have a passion for it, and we hook up like the experts to the community. And it's just the fact that we put ourselves out there, and people are like, who are these people who are doing this? And we're like, yeah, so it's pretty great. And
I think that I was going to say that relates a lot to that decision to say quit your job and go backpacking, right? That's you don't necessarily know exactly the full route. You don't know all the details of it, but it's that decision, like you're saying, like just going and doing it and trying it, and you figure it out, and having the chutzpah to get out there and do it. And so I think getting into an entrepreneurial venture is in many ways similar to taking that leap to go backpacking,
Yeah, and everything's a prototype. Like, if it doesn't work out, just throw it out. Like, there's no... One thing that I will say that, like, now being... So on top of my venture with Jess, I have a real job as well. Like, I'm working for an organization called Launch Code, which was founded by one of the guys who founded Square, the credit card readers. And we create apprenticeships for people in technology, people who normally wouldn't get technology jobs because they don't have four-year college degrees in computer science. And the cool thing, it's a really cool program. It started in St. Louis, like South Florida is the first expansion. So I thought, oh, this is a great opportunity to do something great and good and stuff. But now that I have a boss, and it's like day in and day out, I'm coming in and stuff, like, it makes me appreciate all the stuff from my old job that I didn't appreciate before. Right. So for example, so I worked in finance, which, okay, like, the benefits are amazing. And I'm not saying, like, I always said, like, if I am ever working somewhere for the benefits, kill me. But, like, the benefits are amazing. The health insurance is better. You get, like, the vacation. Oh, my God. It was so good. Now I have, like, I'm like, what? How? I can't do anything with this vacation. And it's just such a, like, that's, when I was negotiating to join, that was the one thing that was my real big sticking point. It wasn't even the money. The travel. Which is a lot less than what I used to make. But it was, like, it was I can't, and, like, it's weird because I haven't really been anywhere, like, since I got back to the States. after we spoke last summer, I did a month-long trip through the West Coast and through Canada. And then I went to Chicago and like worked at Lollapalooza and stuff. And then, like I love Chicago so much. Always spend like at least a week there every summer. And then I went to New York in November for a couple weeks. I think I went to Key West for a weekend, and I went to St. Louis for work training at one day, like at one point in December. And it's February. I haven't gone on a trip in 2 months. It's a weird feeling, you know. And
especially coming from where you're traveling consistently, right?
Exactly. But there are good things. Like okay, my like I get to see my parents all the time, and then everyone's like, today we went to the beach and like when on our way out there was this guy holding a surfboard over his head. I couldn't really see his face, and he said my name, but I didn't really hear him. And then he comes up, and it's like a friend of mine from high school. Yeah. And like he's just like, oh hey, how are you? Like,
that's
where
cool
you surfing
though, right?
today?
Like being home it's really neat, right? Because you'll bump into people that
Yeah, like this event that we were at earlier today.
Yeah.
There was this guy in my group who I had gone out on a date with like 10 or 11 years ago, and we're both like trying to pretend that nothing ever happened.
So you get those encounters as well.
But it's funny. It's cool. Like, and I've been able to reconnect with some people. Like, basically, the main reason I stayed in Miami is because when I got back here, like I went back to New York, and I could swear that if I was going to go anywhere in the whole country, it would probably be New York or Chicago. And people were like, oh, great to see you. You're here. Let's grab drinks like a month from now. I'm like, oh, God, here we go again. Like everyone's super busy and stuff. That's why I don't like being busy, but they don't have time for anything. But then I got to Miami, and people were like, oh, my God, you're here. You're back. Let me introduce you to all these people. Let me do like this. Like they were really excited that I was back. Like I really felt welcome, and that hasn't worn off, which is really, really cool. So
that's awesome. And like it's been a cool experience, and I should thank you actually first and foremost for like kind of showing me around Miami a bit, like the past few days or week, whatever it's been. And just as some context for folks, like a big reason I'm here is because I know I'm going through now a lot of the emotional states that you've already gone through. Now that I'm back here, and I'm trying to figure out, now that I decided to stay stateside a little longer, what's my way. And so having gone through that, I came down to get a sense of what you're doing, and it's been really cool. Like I feel like I've definitely accomplished what I've set out to do on this trip, which is see what you're doing and maybe get some inspiration for things I can do. And I really appreciate it, because you've brought me out to different networking events and showed me some of the entrepreneurial scene and people doing really cool things around Miami, and it gets me to thinking like, oh, okay, so either I bet this scene exists somewhere in Baltimore, so I can tap into that, or if it doesn't, shit, I'll go make it,
Yeah.
So it's been really cool for me to see this, and inspiring to help where I am on the journey.
Right.
So.
It's good that you came when you came. Like, so when Mike got here, that day, like I was speaking at a coding boot camp school. So we went, like I took him to this really neat co-working space, and he came and he watched me pitch these students about launch code, which was really cool.
And I'll describe a little bit about what it was, like at least for my, and correct me if I misspeak anything, but your company is kind of helping to place people, the programmers that don't come from like a computer science background, like with a bachelor's in computer science, and the guys you're meeting with, your I guess future clients now. It was kind of like a boot camp. They take people that are not from computer science, and they train them for 12 weeks on this stuff. And for me, it was really cool watching that happen on several levels, because first of all, just meeting the guy who was running that, who started that company. He was an interesting person. And it gets my mind thinking, oh, that could be an option too. Learn how to program and find a thing. And watching the whole thing was just really cool to see. And I could see when you were in the meeting, you're very like passionate about the subject, and kind of you're doing interesting stuff, and it was really cool to see, and to see the co-working space itself was awesome.
Right. And then we also went to I'm on the board of Awesome Foundation, which gives a $1,000 grant every month.
Yeah, we went to a party the next night for
it was the Awesome Foundation party, and it was like grantees who have won these grants.
And you're one of like, I guess, 10 people that are funding this, right? So you put in like your $100 each month.
Every month.
And so every month your group gives $1,000 to someone deserving of a. And yeah, there's like a kid, a middle school age or high school age
High
kid.
school, he's a ninth grader.
Or yeah, he's a high school age kid, and
He
had
goes to my high school, which
I
is
thought
really cool.
I was blown away what he was doing because he had
Yeah.
this children's book, but it came with I guess files that to 3D print the characters in his book.
Sunny the Bear, look it up. It's like sunnythebear.com or something. It's really cool.
I thought it was just so neat, and I guess nowadays apparently kids in schools, they have access in their schools to 3D printers, so they can go and they can learn about 3D printing and print out their characters. And I was thinking,
just amazing.
This kid's 15 years old and he's already got the entrepreneurial spirit. And so I'm inspired looking at a kid like that.
And his little brother's in
And his little brother.
Oh my god, I want to steal his little brother.
I
want to.
So
cute.
They're cute kids.
Yeah.
And also just the what's happening with 3D printing, for example. I didn't even realize. I knew it was coming up and it's being more pronounced, but wow, it's actually just in schools and
right.
It was really neat.
Well, our school is awesome, so of course they have a 3D printer. I don't know if everyone is as lucky, but we were. Yeah, it was kind of funny because when I first met them, I was like, oh, you go to that school? So I went there. I graduated in 2003, and then he said he's graduating in 2017. And then his little brother said he's graduating in 2020, which made me feel so old, but so proud that such young kids that they're doing such amazing work.
Yeah. And it makes me think, I gotta get off my ass and do some entrepreneurial stuff.
But it's been really cool too because I've been able to take you. So for example, Design Thinking Miami, design thinking is an innovation methodology, and I've been able to take you to, like Mike has spent some time with my business partner, which has been great. But then also
she has really cool ideas as well. I think it's just I've gotten an opportunity to just interact with lots of different entrepreneurs.
Exactly.
I love interacting with entrepreneurial people because it's just ideas.
Yeah, and then this morning we went to this event. I was debating whether I should take him or not, but it was this awesome.
I was happy to come along.
This awesome organization here called the New Tropic, and it's a subscription newsletter that you pay $50 a year to be a member of, and they have awesome journalism and just ridiculous and awesome stories, and it's just seriously I grew up in Florida, but every day I read it I learn something new. Which is great. But then they also do community building events and just interesting tours and stuff like that. They're just really cool. And then they had this event today about how to engage the locals in Miami or get people to be more connected. And it was a design thinking exercise, and it was really cool because then Mike got to be exposed to design thinking, even though my organization wasn't putting on an event. It was really cool because he got to be exposed to this thing that I'm really passionate about.
It was really cool, and I got this chance to network with different entrepreneurs, and I'm gonna actually a couple of the guys I met this morning. We're gonna try to meet up at some point before I leave Miami, and just exchange ideas, talk, see what comes from it. It's been really cool, and it really makes me, more than anything, I think with this past week in Miami has been I'm very excited about so I'm about to go back to Baltimore and actually getting a proper apartment. I did get a month-to-month lease, so I still haven't completely committed to staying for long term, but the idea is go out and try to find my way there. And being here in Miami, seeing what you're doing and all the people I've met through you, it really makes me excited for going out and trying to find that. I think the idea is, you can make your scene, find your scene anywhere. So,
it's just incredible. I would say since coming back, the people I hang out with are not the same people I hung out with. For the most part, when I lived here 7 or 8 years ago, when I was in college, I still see those people from time to time, but I've found a core group of folks that are like-minded, and it's really great to be around them, except for one of the people that I hired to work for Launch Code for me, and she's my friend from 10 years ago, but otherwise most people we've just found each other, and it's really cool because there's people that care. And when you're I felt when I was in New York, I was just a random person. And it didn't matter. I have friends that loved me and I loved them, but I was just a random person. And here, though, I feel I can make an impact. And they're in connecting with these people that care. There's just, Miami isn't a small city. It's like over 2.5 million people in Miami-Dade County. The metro area is over 5 million people. But there's still a lot of opportunity to get involved and to do amazing things. And just like I said, like, I think the most important things, I think, are bias for action. Just do it. Like, if you have an idea, like Mike and I had a very spirited discussion in the car this morning about like trying to define what I meant by like the smallest possible step. And it's like, if you have an idea, like, put it out there, like, create a website and try to see if people, click on it or
like
subscribe.
Tim Ferriss style, like put up a site, or see if you get people to sign up.
Or Chris Guillebeau, the $100 startup.
Yeah, I need to read that one, actually.
You do. I keep talking about it. It's so good.
Yeah. I wrote it down in my notebook.
I think I talked about it 6 months ago.
You did. I'm pretty sure you did. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyone that wants to go meet Chris Guillebeau, he's doing he has this conference the World Domination Summit every July in Portland, Oregon, and I should be there. So, it'd be really cool if some listeners showed up, because it's people like us that are out there and are living the dream and are making things happen. So it's a really interesting experience to be around folks that are trying to live the nonconformist life, from all different angles.
That's interesting. I've been meaning to make a trip. Maybe that's a good excuse to get to Portland finally.
Yeah.
I'll have to. Well, we can, and for listeners, we can find the web information and link up to that.
Yeah.
So they can find all that.
Yeah, best conference I've ever been to, and I mean, yeah, I've been to a lot, but most of them are like really corporate. This is not corporate at all, so.
Yeah, it's for like entrepreneurs trying to do startups, right? And
yeah, it's like entrepreneurs, travelers, like yogis.
Alternative minded folks
like
of all sorts.
It's about Chris's whole thing is like to encourage people to live, like, that want to live a nonconformist life. Like, his blog is called The Art of Nonconformity.
Okay, yeah, I've heard that name before. You probably mentioned that in
I did. It was like one of the things that
also.
set me on to the path of traveling and stuff. So, really highly recommended.
I'll have to check that. And, that makes me think of another question. So you read these blogs, Art of Nonconformity, right?
Uh-huh.
You quit your job and you go on this backpacking adventure. When you set off on that adventure, did you expect that would take you back ultimately to Miami?
No.
Right.
No, but
that's how I feel too. Like, the last thing I thought was, I'm gonna end up in Baltimore at the end of this.
But it makes sense. It's like the archetypal Joseph Campbell
the hero's journey.
Story. Yeah, hero's journey. That's what it is. You gotta have the return.
Yeah, it's funny, right? Because that's the last thing last thing I expected when I went, going indefinite trip, going to India, one-way ticket, don't know what's going to happen next. Last thing I expected was, when I'm done with this, I'm just going to stay in Baltimore, of all places.
Right.
And, it sounds like we had a similar sort of...
Yeah, and I had this, I would say that I compared, like, my return to recovering from a bout of, like, really bad depression or something. I was kind of schizophrenic for a while, because I would have moments that I was like, I am loving this, and then moments that I'm like, this is terrible.
Right.
And, you're always going to question yourself and stuff, but that's why it's really important to go back and define your values and see what's really important. Right. Because, and then after I wouldn't say that I've fully committed to Miami for the rest of my life, because I'm not going to commit to anything for the rest of my life. But, but I think that if you like, you'll have those moments that you'll question yourself, especially, like, entrepreneurship is lonely as hell. Like, people don't talk about this. And, like, Jess, my business partner for Design Thinking Miami, she has a job, but then she also has a project that she's working on, a coffee maker.
I got to play with her prototype.
It's pretty cool. And Design Thinking Miami, and, like, it was really important that we found each other, because when we were trying to just do our things by ourselves, you don't have somebody to talk to. And like most of you backpackers that are out there, listeners of the show, like, if you've come back or etc., like, a lot of people are not going to understand what you're talking about. And like I said, entrepreneurship is really lonely, and especially when you feel like you're losing all your money, or whatever, or the moments that you're tired of making decisions, or you're despairing. And it's a lonely ass journey, and it's difficult, and you will have moments, and you have to have that, like, you have to have self-confidence and that's really important, because, like, you can't define yourself by your success or failure, because if you do, then you're probably going to be crushed. And you're going to take things too seriously. Like, look at everything as just like an experiment, living experiment. And then like if it fails, it fails. If it succeeds, great. But that doesn't like make or break who you are.
Yeah, and that's those are very relevant words for me certainly right now. You know, going through. I mean, I myself, I go through those kind of ups and downs. Like there are times where I'm up and I'm like really definitely confident about my path, and I'm like, yeah, this is it, and I'm excited. But then I go through the lows also, and it's like you said, it gets difficult because not everybody. Whereas before, while I'm traveling, you know, by the default, kind of I felt understood by the people that were around me, and now my, you know, and my friends and family all love me, but they don't all necessarily you know, see the world the same way I do. Don't necessarily understand what I'm doing. It's a not a traditional path, let's say, right?
No.
And it can get difficult. I mean, I'm going through that now, where it's like you know, I question myself a lot, and I'm like, wait, am I crazy here? Like, you know, but I think, you know, there's no right or wrong way to live a life.
No.
And it's
well, I would say like murdering people is the
well,
wrong
that's
way to
probably
live a life.
yeah, okay, fair enough. Short of like harming other people.
Yeah.
You know, but I guess the way I kind of think about it is sort of, you know, I know how in my gut and deep down, like my instincts tell me like, hey, what's the path for me? What's the even though there's some uncertainty with my future, I know I'm on a direction, you know, and like as I talk to you, the intentions I have, okay, get up to Baltimore, start exploring things I like, get back into improv comedy, maybe jujitsu, do some or meditation stuff, talk to entrepreneurs, like find that scene, and then, you know, see, either identify a need or find a project to join, you know, but there's uncertainty in it. It's hard, but you know, stay the course and go through it. And you know, it's encouraging coming here and seeing that you're doing that already. You're kind of a few months ahead in that process, and so it's really encouraging. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, but everything's a choice. Like, I'm sure you and the listeners all hate when people say, "I wish I could travel." It's like, oh my God, you can't. You're choosing not to, right? We were just talking about people who say, "Oh, I wish I could travel, but you know, I have my wife, or I have this, or I have that." It's like, no, like I know people that are married or people single parents with kids that have gone traveling. You know, it's not if you really want to, like, or do you really just like the idea of it? But everything's a choice, and just sticking with the traditional path is a choice. You're making a choice,
and so for some people that is the right choice, right? Some people
for most people, that's why it's the traditional, right?
Right, and yeah, exactly.
But it's like it's all about, and there will be trade-offs, but the uncertainty aspect is like life. There's always going to be uncertainty in life. And I think that we as humans try to mask it, and in the entrepreneurial life, it's not as it's more pronounced. Like there's nowhere really to hide from it.
Right. But I think as an entrepreneur, you look at uncertainty as opportunity.
Well, yeah, but then this is the thing. Like, a lot of times the questioning is because you still have that innate human craving for certainty,
okay.
Which is like, and I just think that it's an illusion. Like, certainty is an illusion. Like,
there's always going to be like some next level.
There's
of security,
nothing
right?
in life that there's nothing in life that's 100%
That's
sure.
true. There was that Jim Carrey speech where he talks about his dad who had he had a stable job, quote unquote, but then ended up getting fired from said stable job. So even that can be uncertain. We believe it's not, you know. Right.
And then, or, you know, the person, the love of your life can leave you. Or one of my really close friends, her husband passed away like 2 months after they got married. Like, you know, and she was what, like 26, 27?
Oh my God.
You know, it's like, what do you do when something like that happens in your life? You know, you think you're set and you like found the love of your life and something like that happens, right? There's no such thing as certainty. And I think that like we have to, but the entrepreneurial mindset, like life, it's in your face all the time. So it makes it more difficult for you to ignore it.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I think it is a lonely path, but it's beautiful. And now that I have my job, I'm passionate about our mission and stuff, but I'm coming to find that long term I'm probably gonna leave and go back to doing my own thing, you know, full time. You know, like grow Design Thinking Miami. Maybe start a couple other projects that I want to work. I also found that, like, Gabby and I, who you met this morning, we were talking. She's an entrepreneur. She's works in the digital marketing space and has her own agency, and we were talking about how she said the same thing, that like you asked me at one point. So I'm super busy, right? I have Design Thinking Miami, I have Launch Code, and I'm also like didn't mention that I'm a yoga teacher, recently graduated as a yoga teacher. And then you said like you have too many jobs, drop them. I'm like, but this is the thing, like I care a lot about all of them, right?
Right.
So I think I found that my life is going to be a combination of little pieces. Like there's not going to be one thing that's going to fulfill all my my professional desires, and that's fine and that's great. It's just I know I probably might have to sacrifice on money as opposed to dedicating full time to, getting, going back to a bank or just being an employee at a company or just, but at the same time, it's like for me, it feeds me so much like spiritually to work on these different things and to continue to blog. And it's just really important. That's my trade-off. It might mean less money in the long run, but I feel like different parts of me are being nourished.
Money's just a means to an end anyway, right?
Yeah.
It's not a real.
Yeah, and the more you cut what you buy, the less you need.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Awesome.
Sorry, just one more thing. That's been hard. That's been kind of difficult not really difficult. Like, so I've gotten back and trying to, like, I've been pretty good about resisting the urge to accumulate crap. Actually, every time I look at my closet, I end up taking like even one more thing and just putting it in a bag.
I remember your blog post about the minimalism and trying to keep it going after you're home.
Yeah, like I got home and then like I still had so much crap. Like it was a lot. I'd never had a lot of crap to begin with. I always had less than most people, but then I keep tearing it down to even like a smaller amount and like less and less and less clothes. And then when I got back, I was like, oh, I'm gonna go diving because I live in Florida. Like, should I buy my own diving gear? And I decided against it. I'd rather just rent it so I don't have it.
To have the stuff.
Yeah, but that's one thing. Like, too, just if you start cutting down on,
it's easier when you after you've lived out of a backpack. You know how little you actually need.
Yeah, but even like it's important to make sure that you don't let your needs grow once you're back, because they can do that
and start accumulating again.
Not for me, but like I work hard.
It's a trap you can fall into, though.
Yeah, I work hard not to.
Yeah.
But it's hard work.
It's a constant effort. Awesome. Well, I bet you know what's coming next.
What?
I'm gonna ask you a question. I'm gonna ask at the end of the podcast, and you have to give a different answer than you did last time. Although I don't remember what your answer was last time.
Of course you do.
Maybe I do if you say it. But what's something you want to do in your life? Another thing, before you die.
The last time I said I wanted to go to Nudist Beach.
Oh yes.
You knew that, and I still want to, and I still haven't been for many reasons, but that's coming soon. Sorry if you're listening to this, Dad. And the other thing is that I would like to... I have no idea. Oh my God. There aren't that many things that I want to do that I haven't done yet.
Okay.
Like, I don't know. Like, I have stupid stuff. No,
Name a stupid one.
Shoot a gun.
Boom. That works.
Yeah, okay. I haven't done that yet.
I did that when I was living in Texas, of course.
Of course.
You have to. And I went to a shooting range. I wasn't too bad of a shot, actually. So, if I do say so myself.
Oh, God.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I guess I would thank you again for coming on the show. Thank you also for taking me around Miami the past few days. I'm really glad that we were able to, because of this podcast, actually, we were able to meet and
become IRL friends.
Yeah, exactly. Now we're real life friends. That's actually been something cool about the podcast, though, is I've been able to meet a lot of awesome people that have helped me and encouraged me. So thank you for your part in inspiring my journey. And
thank you for coming to visit my wonderful adopted hometown.
Yes, it's been awesome. And yeah, folks at home, if you want to find Mariana, her website is is it the livingexperimentblog.com?
No, it's livingexperimentblog.com.
Okay, livingexperimentblog.com. You also have got Facebook, Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter at Mariana C. Rego. Also, designthinkingmiami.com is my business.
Cool.
And I'm sure there's more. I'm like on every social
Well,
media.
yeah, and I'll the things we've mentioned throughout the episode that your projects you're working on, things we've mentioned, and different ways to find you. As always, I will compile them together, and folks who are looking for the links to all this stuff, go to WTEpodcast.com, and I will have on the show notes for this episode on the blog write-up that goes along with it. You'll have all the ways you can find Mariana and her various projects, and for Bucking Earth Podcast, by the way, wherever you're hearing us, you can find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. Please do subscribe. Like us on Facebook. Twitter. Our Twitter is at WTE Podcast, and as I mentioned, our site is WTEpodcast.com. Thank you everybody for listening. Thank you again, Mariana, for coming on the show again. It's been a pleasure having you on for a second round.
Thank you. It's been fun.
Cool. Take care, guys. We will talk to you next time.
Next time on Walking the Earth Podcast, Mike talks with Supriya Williams, who served in the Peace Corps in Botswana. Supriya shares her experiences from Botswana and talks about the Peace Corps program that she participated in, which focused on risky behavior identification and AIDS prevention among students. Check it out online at WTEpodcast.com.